Hi, my name is Claudia Fugazza. I'm from Italy and I'm a researcher in ethology. And I currently work as a PhD student in the Family Dog Project group in the University of Budapest. And my topic of research is social learning and imitation in dogs. I have been working as a dog trainer previously, and I started to focus on social learning and imitation while I was working as a dog trainer. So the idea of creating a method for training dogs that relies on social learning came from some studies that were carried on by the group where I work now. And they discovered that dogs are really predisposed to acquire information and learn socially from humans. So we thought it was a good idea to use this predisposition to train dogs. And I adopted the Do As I Do protocol, which was used with chimpanzees in the 50s and then with dogs also. The first paper was published in 2006. I created a protocol based on that to train dogs in order for them to learn a rule, which is that do it, or any other cue that the owner wants to use, means copy. And once dogs have learned this rule, they are able to generalize it to novel behavior so that the owner will be able to show a completely novel action, give the do-it cues, and the dog will copy the action and learn a new behavior this way, so socially, from his owner. In order to train the dog this way, the owner starts with 3 actions that the dog is trained to perform on verbal cue. And the training could be done with any other method, so with operant conditioning usually. The dog learns that do it means copy with these 3 familiar actions, and later he is able to generalize this rule to other familiar actions and also to completely novel actions that the owner wants to teach. So with this method, finally the owner will be able to show a completely novel behavior, give the do-it cues, and make the dog perform this behavior by copying his actions. So the dog will learn a completely novel behavior using social learning instead of using individual learning. So in the first phase of the training, the owner chooses 3 familiar actions that the dog is able to perform on verbal cues, and he will ask the dog to sit and stay and pay attention to a demonstration. Then he will demonstrate one of those 3 actions. He will give the do-it cues, followed by the old cue that corresponds to the behavior he has shown.
Do it, twist.
So the dog will perform that behavior under verbal cue. But very soon, the dog will start to perform those actions after the do-it cue with no need of the old cue anymore. At this point, the owner can start to perform other familiar actions, so he passed through a generalization phase in which the dog is required to copy some other familiar actions, not only those 3 ones used in the first phase, and later the dog will be able to copy completely novel actions. So in order to teach the dog the rule that do it means copy, there are some very important rules to follow during the training. And these rules are aimed at preventing the dogs to make associations instead of relying on the demonstration. First, the owner should not give any other cue like gesturing or head movements towards the object that the dog is asked to interact with, but just give the do-it cues standing still. The same demonstration, so the same action, cannot be shown more than 2 times in a row, and all the objects should be in the stage when you're training so that not only one possible action can be displayed by the dog, but he can also display the other ones. When the owner demonstrates an object-related action, he should make a very clear demonstration, so he should emphasize what is the action that the dog is required to copy, and he should look at the target object so that the dog also pays attention to the same object.
Do it. Yes. Yeah.
We discovered that the do as I do is particularly useful and particularly efficient as compared to the traditional methods that rely on individual learning, such as shaping, clicker training, to train complex object-related actions. So when you want to train your dog on some quite complex task, like open a drawer or close a door, that's when you should use the do as I do method, because it makes the life of the dog much easier. But what I personally like very much about the do as I do is not only that it's very efficient for training dogs, but it's that it really relies on dogs' natural predisposition to learn socially from humans. So it really is designed on what a dog is in ethological terms. So the do as I do is not going to work for every behavior. Particularly consider that some behaviors are not imitable at all, like walk on leash or come when the owner calls you. So for those behaviors, definitely the traditional training method that relies on social learning, I think they work better than the do as I do. So in general, we do not think that the do as I do is going to substitute the traditional training methods like luring, clicker training, and shaping, but we think it's an additional tool that is very useful in the hand of a trainer or of the owner, and it can be combined with such methods. For example, a new behavior can be taught to the dog using social learning, so using the do as I do method, and it might be good to then make it more precise using clicker training. But these are informations that we did not really collect data scientifically, so it's a personal opinion, but we need to study that in more detail. We believe that the do as I do is particularly useful for training dogs that assist disabled owners, and we believe that this will speed up the process of learning for those dogs very much. What I also think is nice about the do as I do is that in terms of relationship between dog and owner, the owner becomes involved personally in the training process, in the learning process of the dog, because he is the demonstrator for his dog. So I think this might change the relationship between dog and owner very much. As a scientist, it is quite hard to say if a dog enjoys or not something, but as an owner and as a friend of my dogs, my feeling is that they really appreciate it very much. Even when I was trying my very first attempt with my dog years ago, even when the protocol was not fixed as well as it is now, because now it's very easy, but at the beginning it was not so easy, especially because it was like a pilot test. I always had the feeling, as I mentioned in my book, that my dog was always so keen on going to the training field and doing this do as I do game. So I think dogs do appreciate it. And I think this has something to do with dogs' predisposition to learn socially from humans. There is a lot more information about the do as I do method than what I can give in a short video like this. And I do have a book on it, which comes with a DVD, and it is edited by Dogwise, and the DVD which was made in a 2-day seminar that is edited by Tozer Dog. And you will find a lot of information there and the protocol quite clearly explained. So you can start to train your dogs with the do as I do method with those.